Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Luca. I'm a team member at the Alchemist Kitchen, and I am here at the Alchemist Kitchen in Soho, New York. And I am joined by Brittany and Vanessa, who are two founders and business owners in the cannabis industry. So they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll get started on a few questions. Brittany, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Brittany Carbone. I am the founder and CEO of TONIC CBD. We're a farm-to-bottle CBD and botanical wellness brand, making both products to help with stress, sleep, pain, and everything for your inner space, as we like to say, as well as your outer space. We launched a skincare line called Outer Space last year, and it's kind of completing our entire mind, body, and spirit kind of product line through TONIC. But like I said, we're a farm to bottle brand. That means that we have our own farm and lab, which I'm the co-founder of Tricola Farms and Bardo Labs. And through Bardo, we also work with other CBD brands to create conscious and innovative products, especially working with minority-owned brands and really making sure that we're increasing representation and democratization in the space.
And then Vanessa, if you'll introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vanessa Siverls. I am the founder of BUPeriod, a lifestyle brand within the femtech industry to help girls and women and all who menstruate to learn, manage, and effectively communicate their menstrual health. Thus far, we have been in existence with advocacy and education for menstrual health management, and we are currently in R&D for building out our main femtech product, which is a smart menstrual health pad that will help give the menstruator informed information from their menstrual cycle to give them informed decisions so that they can make better decisions about their body. That has to do with iron levels and the health of their menstrual cycle. The cannabis aspect is we are using hemp to build out these pads, and in our monthly subscription boxes, once they become available, we are using a customized approach to utilizing, engaging, and in taking on THC, CBD, CBN, CBG products that is personal to whatever the menstrual health issues are for that menstruator. So it is going to be, once it's up, live, and active, a comprehensive system on how to understand your body, learn your body, so that you can make the best informed decisions about your body using cannabis to help you along the way. So I'm really excited to be a part of this panel.
Thank you both for being here. So I just want to get us started with a really simple, basic question. How did you both start in the cannabis industry?
Well, I got started actually just started to make these blends for myself. I was dealing with anxiety and depression, and something that I've dealt with pretty much my whole life. But when I was a teenager, discovered cannabis, and it was something that always helped me feel normal, feel better, and just really take that edge off. But I was working as a personal trainer at the time. I was trying to find something that would help me, like cannabis always did, but was more workday friendly, that I wouldn't be high at work all day. It just really wasn't a sustainable approach. So I started to really get into a lot of different herbs, and as a health coach, just really understanding all of these different kind of more natural solutions, adaptogens, and things like that I was taking, and they would get me so far. But then when I learned about CBD, I figured I would give it a shot. Honestly, I was pretty skeptical of it, and that it would do much. I didn't really understand why I would need it as a somebody who smokes weed all the time. Like, why do I need just like this different kind of like fake weed? Like, I don't understand. And that's a really like kind of when I tried CBD and I realized how well it actually did work to help manage my anxiety. I was really I had to learn everything about it. I was really just at that point trying to understand like how I never even knew about this, right? How it was working, how it was doing everything. And through that process, really understanding how it relates, how the endocannabinoid system and how CBD works with it relates to these different adaptogens. And these the light bulb moment for me to start combining CBD with ashwagandha specifically. And that's really, I had life-changing results as far as my anxiety, my mood, my energy levels, like everything that I was trying to address really kind of, it all came together with this blend, creating this kind of adaptogenic powerhouse. And, at the time, that was like early 2017, you didn't really see products like that. CBD products were just kind of becoming something that you see on the shelves. So this was like really different to see it combined with other types of herbs and adaptogens, but also to approach it in a much more kind of wellness forward way, which again, like we take as kind of common practice now. But at that time, it was all very either head shop or very clinical. And, in being in the space that I was in at that time, working at like high-end gyms and things like that, I really saw this opportunity for cannabis to kind of be put into this more mainstream wellness world. And, it's amazing to see now 4 years later that, that's really exactly what has happened. And, CBD was able to do that. But yeah, it really started very organically for me. It was, just a way for me after I experienced those like life-changing results for myself. I started to share them with my clients, and they were getting the same results. And I started to, expand the product line from there. And well, I thought it was kind of just going to be a side hustle, something that I was like, okay, I'll sell this to my clients, have like this built-in customer base. It just, really, I just wanted to kind of keep building it and keep going. And, it was kind of at the right time when the industry was getting started. And, but because it was so early, it was also really difficult to source, consistent and reliably high quality product, which was something that I knew was going to, the standard that I wanted to set for my products from the very beginning. So, my family has a property in upstate New York, and we looked into growing our own hemp because figured, I wanted to be able to control that quality from the very start. We have this land that, we haven't been farming on or anything like that. And, we're one of the first privately licensed farms in New York State to grow hemp. And we just finished up, in 2021, our 4th season of growing. And in 2020, opened up Bardo Labs and, to, like I was saying before, with the intention of really not only controlling tonic's quality from the very beginning, but using the supply chain, a conscious, like more craft scale, vertically integrated supply chain to be able to allow other brands to, have the support that I didn't have getting started, and to really be able to leverage a story of sustainability, transparency, and traceability through and through in their products.
Okay, I'll start. Brittany, that's awesome. And exactly what you left off with, transparency and understanding where your product comes from farm to table, or from farm to skin, or farm to hair, is one of the biggest reasons why I decided to really take my time to understand the landscape of cannabis, from A to Z. And in my early prototypes of the pad, it was in 2018, I was in an accelerator called, it was the Brooklyn Fashion Design Accelerator, which was an arm of Pratt Institute here in Brooklyn, New York. And they helped me to focus and research on the product life cycle. And that means from its inception, use, to how it's discarded and brought back in or not, and whether it's biodegradable, can it be reusable? So early on, it was the material, the hemp material, that I was very interested in, and made a couple of discoveries that, along with what everyone has known for the past 4,000 years, that hemp is easier to grow, less water, less energy. It's just way more eco-friendly in terms of cotton. And when it comes to menstrual pads, we have been giving a raw deal with chemicals, with not knowing the supply chain, with not understanding how plastics and other non-eco-friendly and non-body friendly photo, what do you call the what they are synthetic hormone producing chemicals, okay? And we have on a national level 600,000 hysterectomies a year performed, and 300,000 of those hysterectomies are due to complications with just one reproductive disease called uterine fibroids. And uterine fibroids are non-benign tumors, but they can cause havoc on your menstrual cycle. So the majority of the fibroid cases that are ending in hysterectomies are due to complaints about symptoms. And so these symptoms, the majority of these symptoms, we may not know the correlation to the products that we're using during the time of our menstrual phase, our shedding phase, the first 7 days of our cycle. 28-day cycle, the first 7 days are the menstrual shedding cycle. And the issues that can come along with it, everything from odor to drying to just having a worse off period and maybe contributing towards the reproductive disease. So when I was researching the material and noticing, first off, on the health perspective, although the pad is not ingested, your uterus, as some of you may or may not know, has one of the highest quantities of CB1 of cannabinoid receptors in the body for a reason. Two, the pads, the actual hemp itself is softer than any cotton I have ever felt in my life. It's almost a silk texture in nature, right? And third, of course, when it comes to the economies of scale, when it comes to actual production, as Brittany was sharing, when you have control over seed to actual, not just control, DEA, and when you have the actual permits, and when you have it costs a lot of upfront capital, but when you have it, it is a true blessing, because then you can control what you're putting on your vagina, what you're putting on your vulva, and the period experience that you're going to get is unlike any other experience, because unless you're using reusable cotton, you are soaking up a lot of chemicals into your body through one of the most porous areas of your body. So when I did all of that research back in 2018 and 2019 and made my first prototype pads, I said, this is it for me. I'm moving forward with hemp, with and any other complementary products that go along with it. I also started to do the research that it's not a one size fits all. If you have higher levels of estradiol or estrogen, you may be a better fit for higher CBD content, higher CBD dosages versus higher THC dosages. And so I really encourage everyone who is on this panel to really do their research of your body first. See what your hormonal levels are. Speak to someone in the medical cannabis dispensary, because they can tell you the various hybrids and the various different types of cousins of cannabis that is specific to inflammation, or that is specific to pain relief, or that is specific to, like what Brittany was speaking about earlier, anxiety. And so I'm just so excited to be on the front end of bringing hemp and cannabis to menstrual health. I'm just excited.
It's amazing.
So thank you so much. I was just wondering, this can be a quick answer. What is your favorite thing about CBD or cannabis, however you want to interpret it?
I think it's versatility. I think is definitely just my favorite thing about this plant is that you can do so much with it. Even just, let's just talk about CBD, right? Like there's so many different ways that CBD can be applied, and so many different ways you can consume it, so many different things that it can address. And it's just really like amazing. It's one of those things people will ask, like, oh, like I have this problem, do you think CBD would help with it? And I'll sometimes be honest, like, hey, I'm not really sure. And I'll do the research, I'll look it up, and like lo and behold, there's like research and like evidence that supports that it's helps to relieve whatever they were asking about. Like there's just whatever you look up, you're like, oh yep, CBD does that too. Or and then when you think about the plant in general, all the cannabinoids, all of the fiber, right, like making the pads, like it's just I think we've kind of just seen the tip of the iceberg so far with what we can really do with cannabis.
I agree that the biggest thing that excites me is I think we just met the first cousin. I think that there is a massive family out there that we are related to, especially the uterus. And I cannot wait to see all of the opportunities that all of cannabis has in store for us. When I discovered again that the uterus has the most one of the highest quantities of receptors for it. I mean, it's as if God literally was like, human cannabis, go off, do your thing. That picture with him with the hand out to, I think he had weed and they edited it out. And he's like this. I think he's really like this. No, but seriously, I mean, that right there blows my mind. Outside of geopolitical, outside of all the politics and everything, the point is it's still real. It's a real opportunity for human beings to, like I said earlier, learn their bodies first and then look to see what the complementary benefits of the family of cannabis can do for them. And that's what I think is the most promising. I've had over 300 interviews with menstruators who I can tell you at least half of them are overdosing on Advil, overdosing on ibuprofen, some of them taking up to 800 milligrams 2 and 3 days prior to their menstrual cycle due to pain. What that does is, on the back end that they're not aware of, and in the long term, is it thins out their blood and it creates further issues down the line. So what's happening is we don't know our bodies. We're waiting longer to go to the GYN or medical professional when we do have debilitating periods, like most of us did when we were 12 and 13 and 14, due to shame, stigma, and taboo for periods, let alone just cannabis, or, just periods alone. We're getting diagnosed with things that we have absolutely no idea about because we're not really sure how to communicate what's going on with our bodies. And so we're getting diagnosed and then we're getting operated on. And it is astounding to me that Queen Victoria, okay, like there's journals of Queen Victoria ingesting cannabis for menstrual pain. Of course, it dates back for way further than that. But I mean, if it's good enough for the queen, why are we taking in 800 milligrams of ibuprofen when every menstruator deserves a medical marijuana card, okay, just off of GP, so that we can get the best pain management and personalized. That's another thing. I look forward to the personalization because with over 600 cousins within the plant itself, within that whole family, that means that the plant understands that we're not all one size fits all as well. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying I'm super excited to be on the very early stages of something that's been around for thousands of years.
And if I could just add to that, I think that one of the most exciting things about cannabis is what it can do for women's health, what it's already doing for women's health, even if it's just as much as making it more a part of the conversation. We work with 3 brands currently that are developing women's health products, from suppositories to vulva moisturizers to lubricants, and it's just I love seeing the content that they're putting out, like their marketing. It's unapologetic. It's just really like, this is facts that women need to finally feel comfortable about talking about, right? There's just really crazy how many women don't know so much about their own bodies because we haven't had that information. Like you said, it's been so taboo, and now with cannabis products, it's like given this like kind of new like breathe new life into the conversation a little bit, and made it more like, okay, like this is like kind of fun. There's like, putting weed in my vagina, right? Like from like that. And it's just like this kind of new way of like thinking about it. And also, giving these like natural solutions as well, because like you said, it's just, trying to solve, manage or treat endometriosis with some Advil. It's like you're gonna be taking a lot of Advil, you're still gonna be in a lot of pain, and it's just not a sustainable solution. You're gonna end up doing more harm than good. And it's because doctors don't know how to deal with it, because a lot of the doctors have been men, and it's just all these things that have been kind of working against us for so many years are finally starting to crumble a little bit, right? We're starting to kind of really see those changes happening, and it's really amazing.
Absolutely. And keep doing what you're doing, Brittany. Everyone who is on this workshop today, the importance of reading the ingredients, the importance of, just like you do for your food, scanning the QR code, finding out who the founder is, who the farmers are, is just as important. I like to use the example of people who may want to go vegan because of all of the crime that is happening when it comes to meat. But the same crime that is happening with meat and fish in terms of chemicals and in terms of abuse and in terms of just using capitalism all wrong can happen to your fruits and vegetables. So you may have a dietary reason or a religious reason. The point is, if you are not well informed as to where your food, where your product, where whatever it is that you're consuming is coming from, the energy behind it, the transparency behind it, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You now must become a prosumer. That means you are also contributing to producing what you're consuming by holding us accountable to what you're putting in and on your body. And so the fact that Brittany has the whole supply chain on lock, that is what you want to see. You want to see that it's carefully monitored. The ingredients is as less as possible is better. The more you can pronounce is better. And when you look on certain menstrual health products, you don't see ingredients. You may see fluffy flowers and smell great, and they use a lot of language that is I would like to say hush hush, keep it in a secret, keep all of the products in the back, when it really is a problem and a concern that should be front facing. And we need to know exactly what we're dealing with when it comes to our bodies and what we're putting on our bodies. So I encourage you to look at ingredients, talk to the owners, engage as much as you can in any product, but specifically cannabis. It's like a beautiful baby right now. And you know what happens when you put the baby into the world?
100%.
Okay, so let's take care of our baby. Cannabis is here for us for multiple reasons, and it is up to us to be responsible in our own rights. I just had to say that.
Absolutely.
I want to pivot to a business question because you are both business owners. And I was wondering, what are some of the stigmas or challenges you had to overcome to start your businesses?
Well, there's definitely like the like regulatory kind of challenges there in that sense, with the stigma around cannabis has caused CBD and hemp in general to be you know, classified as something that it really shouldn't be classified as, right? And it's just we've been kind of dealing with that this since the CBD industry has really started to gain footing. It's been an uphill battle that's getting a little bit easier, but I think that anybody who's been in the industry for more than a few years can say that like we thought it would be a little bit better by now, but it's really still so many challenges when it comes to credit card processing, opening a bank account, and everything like that. And then from like more of the social element of it, there's definitely people were just like because like I said, I am a very avid cannabis consumer, and love smoking weed. Have since I was about 15, 16 years old. And it was kind of like a joke at first, like my family, like my friends, like, oh, like, yeah, of course, like just trying to find an excuse to like be smoking weed all day kind of thing. Like, and then like again, like anything else, is just a matter of educating and kind of showing like what this actually is, what it can do, what it what it really means. And that part of it, I think like the social element in that sense really kind of calm down. Like there's definitely a lot of curiosity around it, but I think that where the stigma holds us back the most is like really just from like getting in retail distribution, like I said, like banking and advertising and all these things that because of this like stigma that has always been around cannabis, it's very, very difficult to run a business that has anything to do with cannabis, with the plant in any sense of the term. And I mean, I'm sure, Vanessa, you had some interesting experience when trying to learn about sourcing your hemp, right? Even industrial hemp that like doesn't contain CBD for materials and things like that. Right now, you have to you're most likely better off getting it from Canada or from overseas, because the industrial hemp infrastructure isn't really like you weren't even able to grow industrial hemp without CBD in it up until 5-6 years ago in this country. So like it's the infrastructure still isn't there to process it, all these things that I bet like I said, Vanessa, I'm sure you have some experience dealing with that, and it's pretty surprising.
Oh, absolutely. Everything from just pitching. So for BUPeriod, again, we have been, I don't want to say forced, but we've chosen to continue education and awareness because on the back end of actual production, we still have to go through clinical trials. We still have to get the upfront capital to complete out full prototyping and to complete out full beta testing. Because of the nature of what I'm building, they say that cannabis is Schedule A. They're treating pads as if it's a medical device. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, they had red tents. Women were bleeding through tents. Like, people are using cow dung in India. Like, there's so many ways that there's such a lack of menstrual health management just to get through FDA approval of basic sanitary pads that has nothing to do with cannabis is an uphill battle with cold tar rolling. So I try not to focus on that too much, because I know eventually as companies like yours, Brittany, will start to make headway, it will become easier. And my challenges have come with the fact that 100% I'm a Black woman who's talking about menstrual health. I've been told to stay in my lane, leave tech out of it. I've been told to just make basic pads like the Dollar Shave Club. It's been a challenge raising the money. It's been 1.5 million in rejections, but I still see the opportunity, and it's a massive one. And so I'm not going anywhere. And the goal is to, like I said, educate as much as I can until the funds can be raised and I can get the marketing together. You mentioned earlier, Brittany, about marketing and content, and I've done workshops and I've done panels, and every year I do a campaign. Last year was Menstrualtopia, the state of the Black uterus, and this year is Dear Black Uterus. I focus primarily on women of color because we have the most issues when it comes to reproductive and the most issues when it comes to cannabis in terms of the legal side. There's literally one Black woman in the entire country that was able to get the full licensing, the full everything, and she still can't touch it. I'm not sure what specific license she got, but they're out in Colorado, and it's pretty difficult, and it's a pretty sticky touchy situation when it comes to people of color and cannabis. So yeah, it's me getting through the period part first and coming in on the cannabis side later, and then raising the money, and then figuring out, like you said earlier, my first research was done with Cornell University. And at that time in 2019, I realized, okay, they're only allowing certain states to deal with certain academia to do industrial hemp research. Then I found out that when it comes to the processing of the hemp, breaking down the different layers and all of the skin and all of the, and then extracting out the actual fiber, the chemical process that's involved in that, and understanding that that's more R&D, more research that has to go into understanding how does that chemical process then affect the pad, and that pad, will it have a negative reaction or any reaction to our vulva. So again, I am excited. I understand that it is going to be a process, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Regardless of the challenges just really honestly present opportunities for me to get the research right, and so that the product can be right. And then I'll just have to hire a lawyer for all the legalities.
Yep. Lot to navigate for sure.
Absolutely. But you're right. You know, the material will most likely come out of Canada, India, China, as the United States, unfortunately, does not really have, you would think, $600 billion industry. We would be all over that like white on rice. And I'm not sure.
A little side note, I mean, at least for, New York State, we're trying to really push, push forward the industrial hemp infrastructure for the sake of sustainability within the cannabis industry itself in the state. So there's been bills introduced that, try to encourage the use of hemp plastics for cannabis packaging products and things like that. The only problem being that there's like a huge gap from where we are now to where that can be like an actual reality, because of the fact that, everybody, almost everybody who's growing hemp was growing for CBD production. And then that kind of industry, farming CBD, it really busted, the market crash and everything like that. But even the people who were growing industrial hemp were kind of left, without anything to do with it, because the infrastructure to process it, like you said, it's a very complex process to properly process the material to get the fiber that you can actually use to make things. And it's not that it's impossible. It's just that, there hasn't been, because everybody's been focused on the cannabinoids, there really hasn't been as much focus on the innovation in that sense. So the state is giving grants and, funding for industrial hemp research. And what we're trying to push forward through the New York Cannabis Growers and Processors Association is to really direct a lot of funding that, Governor Hochul just announced, like that $200 million social equity fund, and like, sustainability and social equity go hand in hand. Like, we can't have a conversation about one without the other, because there are certain communities that are more so affected by climate change and by, greenhouse gases and emissions and all these things. So trying to have this comprehensive conversation about sustainability and social equity in the cannabis industry, and making sure that because this is a baby, right? Like you said, Vanessa, this is our, like a baby that we have a chance to like to really mold and like, you know, make into something really special. Making sure that we're building it in a sustainable way from the very beginning, right? So that we don't have to go back and fix things and retrofit, but really be forward thinking in the way that we're building this industry so that it is more sustainable. And that comes with, you know, packaging, these packaging materials and everything like that. What are we using to make that? And industrial hemp can be such a great solution, but we're so far away from actually being at a place where we can, like, you know, just be able to use that material, right? We can farm it, but then there's not much to do with it. So like I said, we're really advocating for a lot of funding and like these incubator programs and things like that they're setting up for a lot of that to focus on, you know, processing industrial hemp and being able to build an industry around that, because then it can support so many other industries and it can really kind of push forward what can, like, the true potential of the cannabis plant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited. That's why I said, you know, challenges open up potential opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just got a little loud out there. As if anyone's joining, I'm actually at the Alchemist Kitchen right now. We are open still 7 days a week. We're just not having in-person events, which is why this event ended up being virtual. But hopefully we get to have Brittany and Vanessa in person another time. I wanted to also ask you what your success milestone was for your company.
Man, I mean, it was crazy because, yeah, I started the company in my parents' kitchen. I started to make these blends and stuff like that, and, you know, shipping out orders from their house. And then when we moved upstate, you know, we had like a tiny little office that I was, you know, built out this makeshift clean room with all this, kind of looked like the end of ET, you know, with like those plastic like bubbles kind of thing. We had to just build that out in this little office, and, you know, all these things that I kind of never thought would really happen for us, like, you know, having our own, you know, lab and manufacturing facility and things like that is kind of just surreal. But I think, you know, getting to the point where like hire employees and like, yeah, actually like do that was really, really great. But, you know, it was really cool, like reaching like a, you know, $1 million in sales for the first time. Like I never thought that, you know, would do that, and thought that, yeah, we would get that far. So I think that that was really something for me, was just really cool to see. But like from more so of an kind of where my kind of pride comes from the most is just like how many people we've been able to help, and like how much the company has grown. And I think that, you know, being able to help other brands now build and kind of continue the reach in that sense has really been kind of like my like pinch me moment, that like I get to like do this and like kind of spread that through other brands now.
Before you go, Vanessa, I'm just gonna introduce Jamie, who's joining us. Let me add her to the spotlight. This is Jamie. She is the founder of Hustle and Flow. If you want to briefly introduce yourself, Jamie, then we'll go forward, and you can also
Yes.
share the milestone.
Thank you. And I'm so glad I was able to jump in. So I'm in Mexico, guys, and I completely forgot that New York is 1 hour ahead of where I am.
No worries. We're all very jealous of your
Thank you. It's beautiful here, so I have no desire to go back at the moment. But okay, my name is Jamie Galvis. I am one of the founders of Hustle and Flow, which is a Latina-based CBD lifestyle company from Brooklyn, New York, which is such a perfect segue for something that Brittany just shared. We source our product from Tricola Farms. And obviously I've missed most of the call here, but as I'm sure Brittany has talked about the way that Tricola and Bardot work. And this is, I mean, I think without them, I don't think with my resources that I had available, would have been able to join the industry in such, in the way that I wanted to, with such mindfulness about not just the plant having really good quality, but also something that I heard Brittany talk about. Sustainability is also big for us.
You want to jump in the question with what a milestone is for you?
Yeah. So honestly, you know, I thought about that. I think every milestone, every story is a milestone for us, right? So we just launched September 15th. It's just been a few months. We've had a number of challenges that every CBD and, you know, company has with advertising. However, what I would say is that every story we get from people that have tried our products to relieve we just had somebody that was diagnosed with cancer, right? And she tried the spray and it helped her joint pain from radiation and hormone therapy and anxiety that comes from that, of course. And so we get so many stories like that day in and day out of people that have tried the product and have this incredible experience. So I consider that right now, every time we hear something like that is an incredible milestone for the company.
And Vanessa too. Sorry, your company milestone.
Well, of course, the patent. That was huge. That's massive, patent pending. Just sounds like, now we got to pay for it. But anyway, and when I get the follow-up calls from consultations of people who are facing hysterectomy surgeries, and I find out that they are actually moving forward with a lifestyle change versus a lifestyle process versus one surgery event that may not take care of the overarching issue. Every time I get one of those phone calls, it is a tremendous milestone. So again, although we are pre-market with our product, our service and education, one period at a time, is similar to Jamie. It's a huge milestone for us. And it makes me proud, and that's why I don't give up.
I will end with my last question, then we'll open it up to the audience. My last question is, what is one quality, just one or two words, that makes up a strong entrepreneur?
Perseverance, I think. And yeah, just really passion and perseverance, because I think Vanessa just summed it up perfectly. That's what keeps you going, what makes like the hard work worth it, is having a passion and having, if you didn't really care about the people that you were helping, you would give up very quickly in this industry, put it that way.
I'll go. I agree with Brittany, and I think resilience also sums it up for me. I mean, we're faced with challenges constantly, and I think this is why I needed to take a little bit of time off. But I am going to be doing work this week from here. Yeah, resilience every day. Waking up every morning and doing it with gratitude and love. Because I think if you do it with energy that is negative, then I believe my journey or anyone's journey wouldn't last very long.
I always have this motto my uncle told me that keeps me sane when I go through imposter syndrome. It's not when you deliver, it's as long as you deliver. And that is what I think of that keeps me in a position of confidence in what I'm doing and the social impact, and wherever the company ends up, I know that I've got a positive I don't want to say body count, but a positive testimonies that, I mean, that's what life is. Health is wealth. And so that's what I believe every founder, CEO, when you understand the basic value, or discover a basic value that you have that's foundational, ride that puppy till the wheels fall off.
And then we glue them back on.
The wheel. Well, thank you all three for being here. I'm going to open up the questions to the audience. If anyone has any questions, you can turn your mic on, or you can drop it in the chat and I'll read it for everyone. So anybody have any questions for our lovely ladies? If if you want to think for a few more seconds, I can ask another question. One final question for me while people think of questions.
I have a
Is
quick question.
oh, okay. Yes, Stephanie.
Okay. So I'm a Black woman and I actually just had to get surgery to remove my fibroids. So this conversation really resonates with me. And I have started looking around for other menstruation products that I can use. And I know you said your products aren't coming to market, I guess, soon, but would you have any recommendations on what I should do? Because I don't want my fibroids to come back and I want to be as healthy as possible.
Absolutely, sis. First of all, my email is Siverls. You see my name here in the box at BUPeriod.com. That's BUPeriod.com. And first of all, anyone on the panel, please email me. And I know it's an early plug. So there is a survey on my website that if you take it, that's how we're going to begin to get the traction that we need so we can personalize everyone's experience. But please just go to the website, subscribe, and take the survey. But my email is vsiverls@BUperiod. Absolutely. There is a company called Honeypot to just start off with all of their products for right now.
Oh yeah, I use all their products. I switched about a year ago.
Then you've done exactly what you were supposed to do. The next thing is to contact me so that we can make sure those fibroids do not come back and try to disrupt your life again. So you're on the right track. And as far as cannabis is concerned, if you are not experiencing severe dysmenorrhea, pain, heavy bleeding, I highly suggest getting your medical marijuana card, sitting down with a medical dispensary, and having a real conversation about how you want to manage your menstrual health from this point forward using cannabis, so that you can get the right ratio. That's another thing. That's a whole nother panel that we should have about the personalization of cannabis ingestion when it comes to men and women, as we have different CB1 receptors. Women, again, have way more receptors in the uterus has way more receptors in the body. And when it comes to the brain, depending on your biological makeup, they process hormones. The receptors process the hormones differently, react to hormones differently. It is that cellular, but that means it's even that more amazing to have for this amazing plant to be so personalized to who we are on a cellular level. So sis, congratulations on understanding the right products. Email me and we can definitely get you on the journey so you can live your best life fibroid free. And yeah, let's do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Oh, would love to hear more about how the brands are advertising, marketing the products given the regulations and your best practices to do so.
I don't even mention it. Like, I don't know if you see my website. It is very, very incognito. Okay, I have to say that. I don't mention it at all. My colleagues that are in sex tech have been kicked off of Facebook. They've been kicked off of YouTube. Like, I can barely get to the research, the clinical research that I need to get to. And it may sound counterproductive and counterintuitive, and but sometimes you have to, depending on who you are and where you are in the industry, strategy is very important. So I'm rebuilding my content strategy now and really just keeping it focused on put it like this, Black Wall Street was known to be a very successful community. They burned it to the ground. It was burnt to the ground. People tend to be against things they do not understand. Unless you are in a position of power, and that has been proven time and time again in this country, it's best that you work on what you work on, prove it out, and let the people speak for you. That's just my personal opinion because of where I am. But I believe that if you're in a position of power, put it right in everyone's face and get it cracking.
Yeah, it's definitely strategy is a big thing to keep in mind when advertising CBD products. You have to really you can't just throw up an ad on Facebook and like another product might be able to, and just see how it does and direct it to your website and whatever. It's like leading with education, I think, is one of the best things that you can do. That being said, like you can get educational content up on Facebook and Instagram, like ads now. But again, just kind of being careful about how you do it. It needs to link to a landing page that is pretty neutral, right? Something that doesn't have any kind of ingestible products on it or anything like that, kind of like a separate, whether it's a subdomain or a landing page that that educational content lives on, and then they can kind of hit a learn more button to actually go to your regular site. But as you can tell, that that's kind of adding this extra layer or an extra step that the customer needs to, or potential customer needs to take before buying your product, right? So what we see is it becomes a lot kind of lower converting the ads, but it's good for brand awareness. It's good to get people aware of your brand. And that's really important. People especially because the CBD space is so competitive and so crowded, making sure that, you're finding ways to get eyeballs on your brand and your messaging is really important. And then leveraging, whether it's, influencers or any types of partnerships like that, or bloggers, people who, can blog about your product and things like that. Trying to leverage other people's audiences is just really huge, especially because you might be limited as to what you can, post on your own page if it has other CBD stuff on, or directing to your own website might be a little bit more difficult. But you can have these, whether it's an influencer, whatever it is, kind of post on your behalf, right? Direct it, and it's also helps in that sense, helps to increase trust, right, and transparency. Because we're all we all are exposed to ads all day, every day. How often do you actually click an ad from the company that's advertising it because you're like, it's just an ad? You know what I mean? You're just automatically kind of just shut off to it. So finding ways to, get that social proof, get user generated content, reviews, and like I said, leading with education, because the education not only is a little bit more neutral advertising wise, but it's also more valuable to the consumer, right? A lot of people are still very much confused about CBD and cannabis products. So giving value to what the consumers really need. And there are certain channels that are more kind of open to CBD, like programmatic display ads, right? It's kind of like those banner ads and things like that, advertise on a podcast, all these different things. Just really trying to find kind of creative ways that it doesn't even if you're not advertising on Facebook and Instagram, which we don't, because it just doesn't, we don't have the kind of budget where we can just burn money on brand awareness campaigns that we would need, at the rate we would need to do on social media. So just finding other ways to go about that. Affiliate marketing is a really great one as well. And that's the same kind of idea of really just kind of leveraging these other audiences and using that to help drive traffic and awareness.
I agree with, I learned the hard way, getting the accounts shut down a number of ways, a number of times. And influencer marketing is also, it works. I find it's also a bit tricky, right? Because so many influencers are used to just posting with a photo or doing a static shot, and in CBD, it's not that, we're not going to get people to really look into it if I'm just sitting next to some type of packaging. So what I have shared with the influencers, it's people that believe in your brand and that have tried your products, that can actually speak for your products, that can take their community, their followers through a journey, right? And open up. Because what I have found throughout this journey with friends or with new customers, the community, is that so many people have lived with anxiety or live with pain or can't sleep at night, and now they open up more. So I feel that the more you open up through these channels, the more others are receptive to like, oh, okay, I can relate to that. And so that's one of the big things that the few influencers we have on board, I've shared that with them, that it's really important to, I think, be vulnerable within your boundaries. Not everyone has to share deep details about their journey, but that has helped us a bit as well.
Yeah, I think this will be the last question, so we'll make it kind of brief to be mindful of time. But Anna asked, what is the top ways for people who are interested in getting into the cannabis industry, such as getting a marijuana card? Oh, sorry, that's a separate question. We'll just do that one. How does someone get involved into the cannabis industry? She says specifically in New York.
Well, right now you can really start to do your research as far as like, kind of what part of the market you want to enter, right? And if you kind of know that already, really doing the research as to kind of what are the like realities and restrictions around that license type, that can be found in the MRTA. There's some, different kind of resources that break it down a little bit, but I would definitely say to try to find somebody, like whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a mentor, whether it's somebody, kind of who's has experience in the industry, even if it's, in a market other than New York, which I know it can be difficult, but please, feel free to reach out for me. I'll drop my email here if it's not something that I can help you with. I know a lot of people that might be able to, I might be able to point you in the right direction depending on, what exactly you're looking to get into. But it's definitely about, kind of creating really strong alliances with, people in different parts of the industry and people who can help guide you, because I can't stress enough how, like, CBD is one thing, THC, it's just very, very difficult to navigate. And it's, a lot of things like, kind of unexpected parts of it that, it's just really good to kind of have a sounding board and good to have some guidance through that, and good to have a really strong understanding of what exactly you're getting into, and what are kind of like the different compliance pieces that need to be kind of considered around that. And, what do you have to do to prepare for the application? And that's really like the kind of, this little, gray, not gray area, but like kind of just limbo that we're in right now in New York is, where the MRTA has been out there for a while, and everybody's kind of been getting excited for almost a year now about it. But the reality is that like the regulations still haven't rolled out, right? They still haven't put out exactly what those regulations look like. And until that happens, we can kind of just guess as to like, what this application process is going to be like and everything like that. But, as a woman-owned business, you do qualify as a social equity applicant in New York. So you can, just really kind of, again, understanding kind of these different parts of the bill and understanding kind of where your business model would fit into that. And then really making sure that you have a support system around you to, whether you need to start raising money first off, or whether you need to start, kind of finding real estate. I mean, even if, let's just say if you're looking to open a dispensary, for example, making sure that the area that you want to open in didn't opt out of dispensaries, or, you know what I mean? And things like that, because that can be opted out of on the municipality level. So, and a lot of towns and municipalities have opted out. So just looking into like those things would be kind of first things first. And then, yeah, definitely, like I said, feel free to reach out to me, and I can help to, connect you with people and provide whatever guidance that I can.
One last question from iPhone 4. How have you navigated the barriers that exist in women using CBD products?
Could you repeat it, Luca?
How have you navigated the barriers that exist in women using CBD products?
I think the barrier in general, one of the main barriers in my experience is education, right? There's so much confusing information and misinformation. Or, for example, I know Brittany spoke about this. One key thing is about educating the consumer or the community bit by bit. And I think that having transparency, so being transparent with the things, for us, again, where do you source from? How are your products made? What can they be used for? There's so many products that have different combinations and different formulas. So I think one of the main barrier in my experience is that it's misinformation. They can go and try a product, a CBD product, and not have any benefit because who knows, the dosage may be too low. It may come from this huge industrial farm where the quality isn't that great. So I would say in that sense is this tidbits pieces of information that people can easily digest and inspire them to continue to ask. And I think anything is just being curious about, if you're interested as a consumer, interested as getting into the industry, is get really curious about whatever that is. Because the more curious you are, the more information you'll find, and you'll connect and find what is right for you.
Yeah, there's, like Brittany and Jamie said, there's packaging, there's consulting, there's product, there's CBD, there's medical marijuana, there's gummies, there's edibles, there are drinks, like there are rubs, there are everything. I mean, look at a mask, like that. There's so many different opportunities. I mean, they're bringing P&G. I read an article. They're thinking about bringing CBD into their condiment line. We're talking CBD ketchup here. Okay. So that's the whole new hot dog experience. Literally anything you can think of that you already have, this is an opportunity to incorporate, but you must, as the women stated earlier, do your research because there are a lot of fine details, and you don't want to get caught up in the detail. You want to do it right the first time.
Thank you all three so much for being here. Jamie for jumping in. Brittany, thank you so much. And Vanessa, thank you so much. I will be sending out the recording later this week with resources how to stay in touch with all three brands, all three women. So keep in touch with us. The email is learn@thealchemist.kitchen, and I'll be sending that out later this week. And it'll have some links to some discounts too for our products at Plant Alchemy, and then links to purchase from Tonic, Hustle and Flow, and from BUPeriod. So thank you for all being here. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording and let everybody hang out, leave. But thank you.